Hey, I'm Nick. I'm 25, working tech support live in the suburbs of Portland. And up until recently, I thought my life was pretty normal. I hang out with friends, hit the gym a few times a week, and occasionally find myself dragged into weird situations. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for what happened with my best friend's mom. This story starts off simple. Too simple. You know those days when you're just trying to be helpful, and then everything spins in a direction you never expected. So my best friend Alex, he's 27, works in construction, calls me one morning as says his mom, Lauren needs help moving a few things around her house. Something about getting new flooring done, and she couldn't lift a bunch of furniture on her own. I met Lauren a few times before. Super classy woman, put together, elegant, without trying. She's 47, a widow. Alex's dad passed away 5 years ago, and she's been living alone ever since. I never paid her much attention before, at least not like that. But that day I noticed things. I showed up around 4 p.m. The house smelled like fresh paint and some kind of sweet candle vanilla, or maybe coconut. She greeted me at the door wearing jeans and a loose white button-down shirt, barefoot, with her hair pulled back in a loose bun. It wasn't anything crazy, but there was something inviting about the way she smiled. "Nick, you're a lifesaver," she said, stepping aside. "Come in. Sorry about the mess." I walked in, took one look around, and yeah, furniture was everywhere. Couch pushed to the wall, rugs, rolled up boxes stacked by some hallway. We got to work. I moved a heavy coffee table first, then helped her lift a cabinet into the dining room. She handed me a glass of cold lemonade after that, and we sat on the floor to take a quick break. That's when things got a little different, Ed. "You're really strong," she said, kind of laughing, brushing a speck of dust off my shoulder. "Alex never told me you were such a gentleman." I smiled, trying to play it off. "Well, I do what I can." Then she looked at me, like really looked at me. Her eyes held just a second too long, like she was trying to read something under the surface. "You know you're not like other guys your age," she said. "There's a steadiness about you. A calm. Guess that comes from dealing with angry customers all day," I joked. She laughed, and it was soft, almost too soft. We finished up moving the last piece of furniture, and I was about to head out when she said, "Wait, let me at least make you a coffee before you go. You've earned it." I didn't want to be rude. So I sat at the kitchen island while she brewed a cup. She leaned on the counter across from me, sipping hers, watching me drink mine, like she was measuring my reaction. Then she said something that stuck with me all night. "You know, Nick, you're a little dangerous." I looked up. "Dangerous?" She tilted her head slightly, her lips curving into a tiny smile. "Yeah, the kind of dangerous that sneaks up on you. Makes you feel things you thought were long gone." And then just like that, she bit her bottom lip. A subtle slow motion, but deliberate. My heart skipped. I didn't know what to say. I chuckled nervously, trying to shake off the tension. "You sure that's not just the dust talking?" She smiled again, but said nothing. I finished my coffee, thanked her, and left. But the ride home, my mind was spinning, not because of what she said, but because of how it made me feel. And that was only the beginning. So after that weird coffee moment with Lauren, I tried to push it to the back of my mind. I mean, I wasn't going to make a big deal out of it, right? I helped her move some furniture. It was just a favor. And that weird moment when she called me dangerous and bit her lip, maybe I was reading too much into it. She's just friendly, I told myself. She's a little older, lonely, probably just a nice compliment. No harm done. But the text came. The day after I helped her, I woke up to a message from Lauren. Nothing big, just a quick thank you text, simple, friendly. Still, it made me pause for a second. "Hey, thanks again for helping me out yesterday. You're a lifesaver. Hope your day is going well." I thought, okay, normal, right? I replied with something casual. "No problem. Glad I could help." But then later, I got another text from her. This one wasn't like the usual casual messages. It was a little deeper, a little more personal. "I've been thinking about our conversation yesterday about how you're dangerous. I didn't mean it in a bad way. You just have this energy about you. It's intriguing." My heart skipped a beat. What was that supposed to mean? I wasn't sure how to take it. Was it a compliment, or was I reading too much into it? Maybe she was just being friendly. I didn't know. Still, I couldn't help but feel a little off balance. I didn't want to overthink it, but I couldn't stop myself from wondering. I decided to reply anyway, keeping it light. Glad you think so. Hope I didn't come across too intense. She responded pretty quickly. Not at all, it's just that I don't not meet many guys your age who have this steadiness. Most of them are a bit reckless. I was starting to see a pattern here. There was something in the way that she was talking to me, something more than just friendly neighbor chat, but I tried to push that thought aside. Maybe I was just overanalyzing things. Still, I couldn't shake that feeling. The next few days went by normally, or at least I thought they would, but then another message from Lauren showed up. This one was different. You know, you're a bit of a mystery, Nick. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's like there's more to you than what I see on the surface. It's interesting. I stared at my phone reading the message again. It felt like she was searching for something in me, something I wasn't sure I wanted to reveal. I had no idea how to respond, but I couldn't leave her hanging, right? So I typed back. I don't know about all that. I'm just me. Nothing too mysterious about that. But she didn't let it drop. I don't know, Nick. There's just something about you. You don't act like the other guys your age. It's refreshing. I didn't know how to handle it. I was feeling both flattered and confused at the same time. I wasn't used to getting this kind of attention from someone like her. Sure, I noticed her around before, but I never thought she saw me as anything more than her son's friend. Then a few days later, I got another message from her. This one stopped me in my tracks. I'm having a hard time getting my thoughts straight today. It's just I don't know. Sometimes I look at you and think maybe it's not just my son I should be proud of. That hit me like a punch to the gut. I sat there staring at the words, unsure of what to think. Was she implying what I thought she was? Was I misinterpreting everything? I didn't know what to do with that. For the next couple of hours, I tried to focus on work, but her message kept running through my mind. I thought about texting her back. I wanted to say something casual, but the weight of her words lingered. I didn't respond right away. I couldn't. I felt like everything was shifting in a direction I wasn't prepared for. Then, as if she sensed I was overthinking it, she texted again. This time the message was softer, almost vulnerable. I don't want to make things weird, but I've been feeling a lot of things lately. It's just that I don't feel like I can talk to anyone else about it. I didn't know what to say. I wasn't sure if I should just shut the conversation down, keep it friendly, or if there was something more here that I needed to address. I wasn't used to these kinds of conversations with older women, especially my best friend's mom. Still, part of me felt like I needed to be there for her. She was clearly going through something. So I replied, "It's okay, Lauren. I'm here if you need to talk. I get it. Sometimes you need someone to listen." It was a safe response, but I could tell it wasn't what she wanted to hear. She took a little longer to respond this time, and I started wondering if I'd overstepped. Was I giving her the wrong impression, or was she just reaching out I didn't know? A few hours later, she sent me a final message for the night. You know, Nick, sometimes I wish I was younger. I wish I had taken more chances when I had the chance. Maybe I'd be in a different place right now. I had no idea how to respond to that. Was she talking about herself, or was she talking about me? I couldn't tell. All I knew was that this conversation had taken a turn I didn't expect. I sat there in the dark feeling a mix of confusion, concern, and something else I didn't quite understand. I was starting to feel like I was walking a fine line here. Things were getting more complicated with every text, every conversation, and it wasn't even clear where this was headed. I spent the next couple of days trying to act normal, but everything felt off. Lauren's messages kept popping up on my phone, and every time I saw her name, my stomach did this weird flip. It wasn't like I was looking for trouble, but I couldn't deny that I was getting drawn into something I didn't fully understand. I went over it in my head over and over again. She was my best friend's mom. I'd known her for years. It wasn't like I could just ignore the fact that she'd started talking to me in ways that weren't well normal, right? It wasn't even the occasional flirtation. It was the way she'd opened up to me, the way she seemed to really want my attention. And I couldn't help but feel flattered. I mean, she was a stunning woman, 47 years old, yes, but she carried herself with this confidence that most people half her age would envy. Still, I kept telling myself that I was overthinking things. She was just lonely, right? Maybe she needed someone to talk to. Her husband had passed away a few years ago, and I knew she'd been struggling with that for a while. I figured that maybe, just maybe, I was just the person she felt comfortable confiding in. But then the text started getting even more personal. The day after she sent me that message about wishing she had taken more chances, I got another one from her. This time it was much more direct. I've been thinking about you, Nick. I know I shouldn't, but there's something about you that makes it hard to stop. I froze when I read it. She's really not holding back anymore, I thought. I didn't know what to say. I couldn't just ignore it, but I also couldn't just act like it was no big deal. My mind was racing. What did this mean? Was she just having a moment of weakness, or was she serious? I didn't want to make things weird, but I also didn't want to lead her on. So I took a deep breath and typed out a response, trying to keep it calm and friendly. I don't know what to say to that, Lauren. You know I'm here for you, but I don't think we should cross any lines. I hit send, and then I sat there for what felt like an eternity waiting for her response. My heart was pounding. I wasn't sure if I was relieved or terrified. I just knew that things were starting to feel a lot more complicated. She didn't text back immediately, and I thought maybe I'd cleared the air. Maybe I'd put things back in their proper place. But an hour later, my phone buzzed again. I get it, Nick. You're probably right. I just, I can't help it. You become someone I think about a lot. Her words sent a chill through me. I didn't know how to process it. I mean, I wasn't a kid anymore, but I still didn't feel like I was old enough to be dealing with this. I wanted to end it, put a stop to it before anything could happen, but something in me stopped myself from doing that. I took a deep breath and decided to respond again, trying to keep things respectful but firm. Lauren, I care about you as a person, but I don't think I could be the one to fill whatever space you're trying to fill. You need someone who's closer to where you're at in life. I thought that would be the end of it, but she texted me back almost immediately. I'm not looking for a replacement, Nick. I'm not asking you to fix me. I don't know. I've never felt like this before. You're not what I expected. And maybe that's why it's so hard for me to let it go. Her message hit me like a ton of bricks. I could feel my walls starting to crack. It wasn't that I wanted her to feel bad. She'd been through a lot. But I knew I couldn't let this go on. I had to put some boundaries in place. It wasn't just about her. It was about me too, so I responded with what I hoped was a clear, respectful boundary. I care about you as a person, but we can't keep texting like this. I think it's better if we don't talk about stuff like this anymore. She didn't reply right away. In fact, it felt like hours went by before she finally sent a message. When it came through, it wasn't what I expected. I understand, you're right. I'm sorry, Nick. I don't know why I've been acting like this. Maybe I'm just afraid of being alone. That was it. That was the message that made me feel like I had a responsibility. It wasn't about me. It wasn't about what she was saying to me. It was about her feeling isolated and lost. She wasn't looking for someone to fix her. She was just lost in her own world. And I was unfortunately the one she'd reached out to. But I didn't know how to handle it. What was I supposed to do with all of this? I couldn't just pretend it didn't matter. But I also couldn't let it go too far. I needed to find a way to walk away from this without making things worse. As I lay in bed that night, her last text still on my mind, I realized that I couldn't avoid this anymore. Things had already started, and I wasn't sure where they were headed. But I knew one thing for sure. I couldn't go back to pretending everything was normal. Not after this. The next few days felt like a blur. Everything was off, like walking on eggshells. Every time I saw Lauren or even thought about her, I didn't know how to handle it. She'd opened up to me in a way I wasn't prepared for, and I couldn't just unhear the things she'd said. It wasn't easy to keep pretending like everything was fine. I decided to take some time for myself. I hadn't been getting much sleep lately, and every time I closed my eyes, my mind raced with thoughts of Lauren. Her messages, the way she looked at me, her words echoing in my head. I had to clear my head, but I didn't know where to start. That weekend, I went out with some friends, trying to focus on something other than the situation with Lauren. We hit a local bar, drank some beers, and I tried to get lost in the noise of it all, but it wasn't enough. My thoughts kept drifting back to her. Was I making too much of this? Was I overthinking it? I pulled my phone out a couple of times, half expecting a message from her. I couldn't help it. Even when I was out, even when I tried to have fun, I was still thinking about Lauren and the situation we found ourselves in. I checked my texts, but there was nothing new. For a moment, I felt a little relieved. At least for now, she was respecting my space. But then, right before I was about to leave, my phone buzzed. It was her. I think about you a lot, Nick. I can't stop. I know I shouldn't feel this way, but I do. I hope we can talk soon. I stared at the message for a long time. It was clear she hadn't let it go. I'd been hoping for a little more distance, but it seemed like that wasn't going to happen. I felt the familiar knot in my stomach. This was becoming harder to ignore. I knew I had to respond, if only to put an end to it, to keep things from getting more complicated. But as I started typing, my thumb hesitated above the keyboard. How do you tell someone who's clearly hurting that you can't be the person they want you to be? Lauren, I care about you, but we can't keep doing this. You need to focus on healing, not on me. I don't want to hurt you, but I can't be part of whatever this is. I sat there for what felt like an eternity before I hit send. It wasn't easy. It wasn't what I wanted to say, but it was what needed to be said. I didn't want to lead her on. I couldn't. She deserved better than that. For the next hour, I kept my phone in my hand, waiting for her to respond. I knew she might be upset. I didn't know how upset, but she didn't reply. The silence felt like a weight pressing on my chest. Eventually, I left the bar and went home, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I hadn't solved anything. In fact, it felt like I just made things worse. The next day, I got a call from one of my buddies, Mark. We'd known each other for years. He was always the one I could count on to keep things real. "Hey man, what's up?" he asked casually. "Not much, just thinking about stuff," I replied, trying to keep my tone light. "You sound off. Everything okay?" I paused for a second. I could feel the weight of the situation hanging over me, but I wasn't sure I wanted to get into it. Mark had a way of knowing when something was wrong, though, so I figured I might as well be honest. "It's Lauren," I said, the words slipping out before I could stop them. "She's been texting me. Things have gotten weird." Mark didn't say anything at first. He just let me talk. "She's been sending me messages, and it's like, I don't know. It's crossing some boundaries," I continued. "She's going through a tough time, but I'm not sure what to do. I can't just ignore it, but I don't want to make things worse." "I get it," Mark said, his voice calm but serious. "You've known her for a long time. It's easy for emotions to get tangled up, but you've got to be clear with her, man. You can't keep letting it slide. It'll only get worse." I nodded even though he couldn't see me. Mark was right. I'd been trying to avoid the issue, but it was only growing bigger. I needed to make it clear to Lauren that there were boundaries, that this couldn't continue. "I'll talk to her again," I said, though the words felt heavy in my mouth. "Good. Just don't let this turn into something you'll regret. You don't want to hurt her, but you also can't lose yourself in this." I hung up the phone feeling more conflicted than ever. I had to face the situation head on, but I wasn't sure how to do it without damaging the relationship I had with Lauren or ruining my friendship with her son. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that I had to stop pretending. I had to make a decision. So I picked up my phone and called her. No more texts, no more avoiding it. "Lauren, we need to talk." I parked a few blocks from Lauren's house like I always did now. Not because I had to, but because we wanted it that way. We both knew that if people found out, especially her son, my friend, it could get complicated, messy, maybe even painful, and honestly, we didn't want to risk that. But what we had, it felt real, quietly, comfortably real. It had been 2 months since that conversation in the park. Back then, I thought we were closing a chapter. Turns out we were just beginning a new one on our own terms. It started small, a check-in text here, a casual coffee meet-up there. We didn't rush anything. No pressure, no pretending, just two people who genuinely liked each other. I didn't expect it to feel this natural, but it did. And Lauren, God, she was unlike anyone I'd ever met, warm, confident, with this mix of maturity and mischief that honestly threw me off in the best way. She made me feel seen, not like a kid, not like her son's friend, but like a man she wanted to be with. And the crazy part, I wanted that too. So yeah, we crossed the line eventually. The first time we kissed, it wasn't some wild moment. It was quiet late at night in her kitchen, music playing low. She had just made me tea barefoot in a worn hoodie. I told her she looked beautiful like that, and she laughed, genuine and relaxed. Then I leaned in and she didn't stop me. She pulled me closer. From that moment on, it was different better. We didn't talk about labels. We didn't need to. What we had was just ours. No one else knew. No posts, no slip-ups. I'd hang out with her son, kept it cool. When she went to dinner with friends, she never mentioned me. And somehow that secrecy made it more intimate. We'd meet in quiet spots, have long talks on her couch, cook together, share old music, tease each other. We weren't hiding because we were ashamed. We just didn't want to invite chaos into something that finally felt right. And the truth is, we were happy. She didn't expect me to fix her loneliness. I didn't need her to play some fantasy. We met each other where we were, two people from different stages of life, finding something steady in the chaos. I remember once lying beside her after a long day. She turned to me, smiled softly, and whispered, "You're dangerous. You know that." I grinned. "You said that before." When we first met, she laughed. "Yeah, still true." But this time she said it with warmth, with trust, with affection, and maybe even with love. We didn't know what the future held. We didn't try to define every detail, but we knew thus because what we had wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a fling. It was quiet, honest. And for now, that was more than enough. Nick and Lauren's story reveals a profound lesson about the delicate balance between following our hearts and respecting the boundaries that protect those we care about. Their connection, sparked by a simple act of kindness, grew into something unexpectedly real, showing us that genuine relationships can emerge in the most unlikely places. However, Nick's struggle to navigate Lauren's vulnerability in his own feelings teaches us the importance of setting clear boundaries, especially when emotions blur the lines of propriety. Lauren's openness about her loneliness after loss highlights the human need for connection, but Nick's choice to engage thoughtfully without exploiting her pain reminds us that true care prioritizes respect over desire. Their eventual relationship, built on mutual honesty and quiet intimacy, underscores that love doesn't always need labels or public validation. It thrives in authenticity and trust. This story urges us to listen to those who feel unseen, to approach complex emotions with empathy, and to honor the unspoken rules that preserve relationships, like Nick's loyalty to his friend. It's a call to embrace connections that feel right, but with the wisdom to know when to step back or forward with integrity. What moved you in Nick and Lauren's journey? Have you ever faced a moment where you had to balance connection with boundaries? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your experiences. If this story resonated, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell to join our community of heartfelt stories. Let's keep exploring life's meaningful lessons together.